Paper Plus book review time, and it's all about flowers, friendship and passionate love this week with Kerry Woodham. But before we get to passionate love...
Yes, we've got especially early. I might need another coffee before we have passionate love.
Now, our GM chat today is, do you lose things?
Oh.
Metaphorically speaking and in reality. Are you a losing things kind of person?
One weekend I lost 3 sets of car keys, Friday and house keys. It cost me, I think, about $600 to get the locksmith out every time.
You're
car
joking.
keys, house keys, and when I was living in Wellington, I cried on the Sunday. I just cried. And they, to this day, they remain lost. 3 sets. I was flying back from Auckland, coming to work at Paradiso in Wellington, and then, you know, over that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I lost 3 sets of keys. Unbelievable. I lost 3 dresses just recently, and then found them in the Women's Weekly editor's office. They were hanging behind her door. I've lost my Rugby World Cup tickets twice. The car keys every day, you know. And poor Tom goes mad.
Your partner?
Yeah, it's like the marital two-step, you know. It's like, oh, where did I put the bloody car keys? And he's like, if you just put them away somewhere.
I know. Why don't you put them in the
same
same place? Retros. I'm so glad I'm not the only one. I feel so much better.
I don't think it helps having more ineffectual people in the world. I mean, it really does annoy the hell out of me. I waste so much time.
You need to have a place that you put them.
I know, and so do you. And do we follow it? No. I've got a little man on my fridge that's magnetic that you can stick your keys and he's supposed to hold on to them.
But they don't go there.
Well, they would. I mean, his magnetic pull needs to be from the time I walk in the door, and they just come out of my hand and go.
Anyway, I better talk books,
Okay.
because this first one just sounds divine. The Language of Flowers.
It is beautiful. It's
Significance
absolutely
of them,
beautiful.
is it?
Yes, it's absolutely stunning. It's one of those books you pick up and you just can't put down. Our lovely young woman is a ward of the state and has been from the time she was born. So she goes from foster home to to institution.
So it's a novel.
It's a novel, but the author, Vanessa Diffenbaugh, I think is how we pronounce her name, has also worked with troubled kids. She's adopted children as well from troubled backgrounds. She works with with community groups, so she knows her stuff. And our protagonist has been let down by language. It's let her down. You know, when she tries to communicate, nobody hears. So she's learned not to trust words. When she finally is set free from the institution, she lives rough for a while. But in one of her homes, she learned about the language of flowers, what flowers mean. And she loves them. And she goes to work for a florist, half-starved, and the florist understands that she has a gift for relaying messages to people who can't speak to one another through the flowers that she selects and chooses, and they, she takes her on full time. She goes to the flower markets where she meets a lovely young man who understands her language. Slowly they build up a relationship. There's no happy endings. It's not syrupy, but it's a hopeful book and a powerful book, and I found it really moving because it just shows how these kids are so damaged when they don't have somebody constant in their life who loves them, and how hard it is to get these children to trust you and to relax into your love. And it's a hopeful book and it's a beautiful book, and I really recommend it. I thought it was just lovely. And
lovely that the author is putting some of her own real experience into her book.
Yes, it's a bit like Story of Beautiful Girl that I reviewed last time. The author there has a sister with special needs. In this case, Vanessa has worked with these children, and they want so desperately to trust and to love, but why should they? Because the world has let them down from the time they were born. So it's beautiful.
Now, we need to know this. You talked about that she meets a man. Where does she meet a man, the girl in the book?
In the flower market.
In the flower market.
She goes along to the flower markets because they have those at dawn, and she would choose all the different flowers. And
is he a vendor?
He's a vendor
of these flowers?
Yes, and he leaves her a flower which has a meaning, and then so she leaves him one back in response. Like his first one is, I think, intriguing. She sends one back saying, back off. But gradually they start to speak to each other through the flowers, and all the flowers, the meanings are accurate. She has done her research and study, and I think it was Kate Middleton who really sort of brought into prominence the idea of telling stories through flowers, and that's something that's happened throughout English history, and I'm sure throughout other Western cultures.
Kate Middleton, are you talking about the princess?
Yes, in her wedding flowers, each flower selected told a story.
Oh.
and had special meaning.
I didn't realise that.
Well, you haven't been feeding your wedding gossip, have you,
No,
darling?
all I heard about was Pippa's bottom. That was the only thing I heard
Pippa,
of.
the most overrated set of cheeks, I think, since the pork I had 2 years ago at a restaurant.
Let's move on to something completely different. The German Boy by Trisha Vastved. I think you would say.
Vastved, yes.
Vastved.
Well, this one's slightly bleaker. This is the story of the two sisters, Karen and Elizabeth Oliver. And there's the Ross family, who are British, but one of them has Jewish ancestry. It's set in the interwar period. Karen is mercurial, fabulous, beautiful, and a real bitch. Not to put too fine a point on it. She is not the sort of sister you would want. And it just shows that just because you happen to be sisters doesn't mean that there's going to be loyalty and friendship and love there. She's a real cow, and so used to getting her own way. Elizabeth is quieter, softer, calmer. She harbours an unrequited love for this very talented painter, Michael Ross. He's the boy who happens to have Jewish blood, which wouldn't matter until, of course, the Second World War. So she harbours an unrequited love for him. Karen meets a dashing young Nazi who's on the up and up in the Nazi party. She goes off to Germany to marry him. On the way there, she meets Michael on a train, tells him that Elizabeth's already married, not to bother coming back for her, which, because she thinks as a penniless painter, her sister can do so much better. And there's also the game playing going on. Has one last hoots wahey with him before she goes off to meet the Nazi boy, and it all turns spectacularly to custard, as you can imagine.
It sounds like a terrific book. I think I might have it. It's good.
It is. It is.
But a bit dark.
Yeah, with the language of flowers, there's at least hope. I like a bit of hope in there. But with the German, it's very realistic, I imagine. I haven't got a sister, and if I did, I'd make jolly certain she was a lot nicer than poxy old Karen. But, it's what happens when you make choices and you think everybody thinks that they're acting in everybody else's best interests, and it shows a very bleak side to what happened after the war. In Germany, people had died in the rubble, and there was nobody there to take them away. The infrastructure had broken down completely, and so it's a compelling read, and it's a powerful exposition of human nature.
But maybe not a hopeful book. Anyway, we're going to have to leave it there.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
Just as well. We only had two, wasn't it?
And you will find details, thank you so much, Kerry, on the books that Kerry has reviewed on our website. And this week's Paper Plus book review giveaway is The Language of Flowers, the first book by Vanessa Diffenbauer. To be in to win a copy, just tell us where the character Victoria meets the mysterious vendor. You can enter online or at the address you can see on screen.